Alright, so we're on our way back from the dealership. We went to the dealership today to get the electronic tongue jack replaced. When they had it to do service on the brakes and check a couple of other things out, they have a slight incline going into their garage bay in their service area. And with the jack foot I have, they move them around with a forklift. And it appears they bent the tongue jack pretty good, so they put a temporary tongue jack on it until they could order the replacement. Today is probably almost the absolute worst day that you could be pulling a travel trailer, especially with an F-150. Taking off with the wet roads, you slide a lot, so you got to really kind of nurse it to get moving when you're taking off from a traffic light. It's actually better when it's been raining for a while because it's washed off all the oil and slippery residue and everything that builds up on the roads. I ran that 30-foot cable from the back of the travel trailer to the tongue behind that cap that I have, and I show you some footage of how that's working. So it doesn't have as much drag or loping or freezing up as it did before. Seems to be a lot better with the extension cable. I held the power or the light button down on the camera and reset the camera and reconnected it, and it seems to be doing a whole lot better. It's not pulling too bad right now, being that it's wet, rainy. I got pretty good traction. I haven't slipped or jackknifed. If I did, I'd be sitting on the side of the road. It's not something I would chance, or I'd leave the trailer somewhere and come back and get it. But I'm in no hurry. I'm about 15 minutes away from home, so we'll get there when we get there. For whatever reason, the date changed itself. It's actually not 1969, and it is not 9 p.m. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning. Good part is there is no wind. Had there been winds today, I definitely would not have attempted to drive out in this mess today. I would have waited for a drier day. Thing when you're towing in wet conditions, you want to be careful. I have the cruise control set, but I'm really probably at an instant notice ready to tap the brake. Well, maybe not while I'm holding this camera at the moment, but you always want to be prepared to stop. If your cruise control kicks on, it's just going to throw power to your tires, and that might be enough to get you slipping and sliding and possibly jackknifing. Speed limit on this road is 60, and I'm running about 58 miles an hour, and there's a lot of people that's passing me. That's the really good thing about being on a 2-lane. They want to go around, they can go around. I don't really mind people tailgating the trailer that much. That doesn't really bother me. This is the brake controller that's built into this F-150. I usually ride with my hand on my knee, ready to reach up. So you start to get a swaying, or you start to feel your rear end moving. You just reach up, leave the cruise control on, reach up, give it a little bit of trailer brake, and it'll straighten you right out. Takes the sway right out of it. If you need to slam on the brakes, you want a little more trailer brake than you do truck brake, so I adjust a little higher. I'm set right now on my gain at 8.5. That's a little higher than my last travel trailer. My last travel trailer at 8.5, if you stomped on the brake, it'd throw you through the windshield. For whatever reason, this trailer, I had to take it in and get some brake work done to it. They just wasn't working very well at all. So you're driving about 35 miles an hour on gravel, and you reach up and you clamp those on full blast, your tires should lock up. Maybe not on blacktop, but on gravel, I would expect the tires to lock up, all 4 of them. And I only had one tire that would lock up, and that was the front driver's side. The rest of the tires wouldn't. So they had to do some adjustments and adjust the pads or the shoes up further toward the drum so they grip a little bit better. And I actually can get a lockup now. I actually got a lockup on blacktop the other day, so the brakes are a lot better. You step on your brake, you'll see that output. There's a red light coming up, so I might be able to show you. I don't really want to. I just changed green. This backup camera has a mirror function where you tap on it and it actually looks like you have a mirror. So as I step on the brake, you see that output. The harder I step on the brake, the more bars I go, the more power it sends to the brakes, the more it clamps the brakes on, and the more it slows you down. And it works the same way when you use the trailer brake on the dash to brake controller. That plus or minus that's on there is your gain. If you hit the plus, you can go to a max of 10, and generally if you're on a max of 10 and you step on the brake, you're going to feel the trailer snatch a hold of your truck and start slowing you down. Where if you have it set on 4 or something like that, you're going to feel the trailer pushing the truck as you try to stop. Some people have different ways they want to set it up. I prefer to have a little more trailer brake than I do truck brake, just because if I have to replace the trailer brakes, I don't pull the trailer that often. I'd rather put trailer brakes on every 4 or 5 years than putting truck brakes on every year from having too much power on the truck brake. So I installed the fireplace in there, and that added 52 pounds of weight up onto the tongue. I don't feel a lot of bouncing on the rear end. Usually if you have too much tongue weight or your distribution weight is not dispersed enough, you'll get a bouncing. If anybody remembers the movie Uncle Buck, when he shut the trunk lid, the rear end of the car bounced for like 10 or 15 minutes. If you get that kind of bounce, that's a pretty good idea that your distribution's got too much weight on the bumper or the rear end, and you need to distribute some of that weight up to the front. If you got too much on the front, you're going to feel like the rear end's lifting up. Like something, every time you hit a bump, you'll kind of feel the weight try to lift the rear end up off the ground too much, and that's extremely dangerous. So you may need to move washers around. I carry the tools in case I need to make those adjustments. I'm able to do that. Plus, with the trailer tongue weight scale that I got, that's really nifty to have with me, just to make sure if I need to move the weight around, I can do that. This actual part of the road that they just blacktopped is not finished, so it has more of the surface is more of like a sandpaper type of surface. It's not the real smooth surface that you usually see, so you grip a lot better in the rain. I wish they would leave it this way on all the roads, especially in the wintertime when you get a little bit of ice buildup. That final coat or that surfacing they usually do on blacktop is just so shiny and so smooth. sales where I bought the travel trailer. Their service center is at a different location than their sales lot. That's probably a whole another video clip as far as that place goes. But we'll get this back to the storage lot, and then that'll be it. That's my Garmin Dashcam. That's 1080p. This camera, you can record on it, but you have to take the tablet out, stand it up, hit a button. It'd be nice if you could just tap the screen and it would start recording. I picked this up at Best Buy about 2 years ago. I think it was $200. I think it's a great idea to have one, just with the way some idiots drive this day and age. It has a 32 gigabyte card in it. Goes there on the side in that little slit. Take it out, pop it into your computer, and you're able to pull the data off of it. It holds good data. I mean, depending on how much you drive, it's got a fair amount of data that it'll hold. 32 gigabytes, as the card says, and that's the max card that you can use. Plugs in. I actually have it hooked up so that when I turn the key on, it sends power to the camera and turns the camera on, and when I shut the truck off and pull the key out, it takes power away, and it lets you set it. You can leave it run for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes when you disconnect power. Some people just plug it in and out of their cigarette lighter, and that's their power source, but I didn't want to forget to plug it in when I go somewhere, so I wanted it onto a source so that it would automatically power itself on and off. And since we left, it's been 31 minutes 22 seconds that it's been running. It does that every time it shuts off and turns back on. It tells you how long it's been running. And if you have an accident, if it has a big enough shock to it, it'll beep. When it makes that beep and the light flashes, it'll actually record 3 minutes of video before and the current video. So if you're going and you go through a red light, or somebody else goes through a red light and they slam into you, that shock should cause that to save that. Not say it's everything, but it'll record over itself and over itself. Well, when it beeps and it saves it, it stores it into a save file, and it will not record over that, so that if the camera does stay running, if you got into a bad accident, rolled the car over, you got squatted out to the hospital, they took it to storage, if for some reason it was still recording, it would not record over those 2 clips from where it beeped and save that file for you. So that's pretty nifty. I think it's a discontinued item. I don't think they make it anymore. It was freezing up and eloping and doing some weird stuff. It just kind of has a mind of its own, but it works pretty decent. It is 1080p, it's HD quality, so when you go play it back on your computer, it's crystal clear. Serves no purpose to have one if you can't get license plate numbers. You can also unplug it, take it with you, and then use it as a camera and take pictures. If you do get in an accident and you don't have a camera with you, you can just pull it off the dash, walk over, click on it, take pictures like a camera, document it. So we're back at the storage lot. This is the tongue jack that they replaced. And there's actually 2 different kinds of jacks, or sizes. You got, I think, 1.5 inches and 2.25 as far as this piece here is. This size trailer Should be a 2 1/4. And with the jack foot that I had, when they pick these up and they move them around with the forklift, 5/8 ball, they just put it in there, move it around and drop it. So when they sat it down, I mean, that's how high it was, because that's what it takes to get it off of the hitch in my truck. So when they sat it down, that jack foot might not have been placed correctly. I didn't see a whole lot of jack foots on the trailers when I was there, so it might be something they just didn't pay attention to, wasn't used to it. And with that trailer on an incline, the weight just bent the hell out of it. I could see it when I pulled up to pick it up. I could see that shaft was just like ridiculously bent. And they said they would replace the jack. Now, width was 1.5 inches, not a 2 1/4. So I had, when the wind would blow, just sitting here in the storage lot, the wind would blow against this, and it would just, the trailer would just be moving, and it was ridiculous. It looked like it was just going to snap off and blow over. So I had to put my stabilizer jacks down just to make sure it wasn't going to fall over, let alone if somebody bumped into it. So when I get back, I go to take the trailer off of the truck, and I have no power to the jack. Like, oh, this is great. And what it appeared to be is they didn't crimp this good enough. Just popped right out. So I'll need to recrimp that. So this is a all too familiar sight here. Once you unhook your trailer, you usually take your chains, you throw them up in there, and you take your power cord and you try to stick it up in there somehow so that you don't get water in it, and your e-brake cable. Kind of just lay everything up in there. What I wouldn't want to get into a habit of doing is just leaving it lay on the ground. Those chains will get rusted up, possibly get water in here, cause you some corrosion issues. So I put some dielectric grease in here today and into the female coupler into the back of the truck. And then this cap I got to keep dirt and everything out of here as much as possible. Keeps that nice and sealed up. And then, in addition, I found this little nifty little gadget. It is a chain saver towing organizer. This one is aluminum, and I found it on Amazon. It's like 50 bucks, I want to say. I just could not believe 50 bucks. They did have one for like 20, but it was plastic, and I just couldn't figure out the idea of why plastic would be something that you would want to consider, because when you see how I put this on here, how much sun beats down on your trailer tongue, how durable is plastic. So this just goes on, and that fits nice. You can see there's no gap, no nothing. This back piece goes on like that. And then this cap came with it. That's to put over your 7-pin prong, but your plug in, but I already had a cap that I got for it. All you need to install this thing is a screwdriver. Probably gonna have some trouble doing this one-handed. With the aluminum, this is going to be really secure. But the whole concept is to take your cables and your chains, power cord. The whole point in the cap for the power cord is to make sure that when you clip that in there, you don't have water that just fills up in there. Or if you wanted to, you could plug it that way as well. Throw your other chain on there. And that is the chain saver tongue organizer. Keeps everything up off the ground. I'll come back when it's not raining so bad and recrimp that tongue jack, put some electrical tape on it. For the mirrors here, I got these from the local parts dealer. So I didn't want any kind of monstrosities hanging out. These just slide on and off. There's a, this is what secures when you slide it on. This little piece goes in, and then this screw here comes through. And then this slides in, goes into that, keeps it from falling off of the truck. And I usually just throw these in the storage cubby. And I'm not sure if I mentioned or not, but this used to have the clips where you would hold it open and then lift your door. This is so much easier. These are just magnets. It holds it up. To kind of maneuver that thing before you would have to open it and then grab this and pull it out, latch it, and then unlatch it. Those magnets just... Most of them, you'll see them right here in the center. I didn't put mine there because I didn't. If I took these out, there were screw holes from the old ones, and I didn't want to have 2 screw holes, so I just replaced that one with the metal magnetic. Passenger side. It's got the cutout so your blinkers still work through there. And it doesn't do any damage to the back of your mirrors. There's no scratch marks or anything. It slides on and off real smooth. There's one other cool gadget. It's called a Hitch grip. Got it on Amazon for $25. This allows you to carry your hitch I don't mind getting my hands dirty, but putting this hitch on and off the truck, I grease my ball, and I grease up inside these couplers. See the grease? I try to keep those real nice and greased up in there, and I keep the ball and the coupler on the trailer greased up just so that it slides around a lot better and it takes a lot of the popping and cracking sounds. You don't want to grease where those distribution bars go back to your trailer tongue and rest on that L bracket. You do not want to grease there. You want friction there as much as you can, because that helps with your sway control. So trying to pick this up somewhere without getting dirty or a handful of grease or something is almost impossible. So this hitch grip comes in real handy. I put it on this way, and then once I unlock the locking pin, I pull out my pin, I will slide this out enough so that the hole is exposed, and then I'll slide my pin back through. And I just leave this in the garage so I don't lock it back on. Then you spin this around and you pick it up. Carry it around. Neat little gadget. I usually don't have to carry mine very far. I usually back into the garage, take it out, stick it right there. But if you've got any kind of distance, it comes in real handy. Hitch grip